everybody. How are you all doing? I hope that your week has gone well. How are you doing as far as getting ready for Christmas? Are you guys ready? How much do you have left to get done? um, I have just a few gifts left to get. And then my husband and I haven't bought for each other yet because we're at the point in life where we're just like, I don't know what I want. Um, I don't know what to get him. He doesn't know what to get me. And then we don't even know what to give each other for a list. So I don't know what I want. Um, so let me know if you are done your Christmas shopping yet. And I have one person on. So let me see who that is. Say hello in the comments. And I'm going to try and find, there we are. So we're talking about why we can't stop eating. Gosh, you know what? Some of this stuff that I'm going to talk about tonight, it's actually me talking to myself. So, you know what? I struggle just the same as you guys. I don't do it perfectly all the time either. I have my moments where I do really, really well, and then I just don't, and I know better, and I have to coach myself through it. Um, hey, Debbie. So that's where I'm at. Anyway, I'm gonna get started. I don't want to keep you guys on here really long. So those times when you can't stop eating, maybe you finish dinner and then about an hour later, you find yourself in the kitchen, looking in the cupboards, looking in the fridge, and you're just standing there and you're thinking, oh, what can I eat? And here's the thing, if you're actually not hungry, then nothing none of the good food seems appealing to you. Am I right? So you're standing there and you're looking through the cupboard, you're looking through the fridge, and you're trying to find something. Like you know you want something and you just can't quite put your finger on what that something is. That is a telltale sign that you're not actually hungry. So you know when the kids are little and you're worried that they're not eating enough, that they're picky, and the doctor says, don't worry, eventually they'll eat when they get hungry enough. Well, it's the same thing with us. When we're hungry, we will eat the food we need to eat. But when we're not actually hungry, that's the moment that we're going, what is it that I want? Sometimes if you've had a really stressful day or a really stressful week or month or year, then you turn to food to help cope with the stress. Or if you're feeling emotional, if you've had a rough day, maybe you've had an argument with somebody, or you're feeling sad or lonely or bored, then those emotions can make you feel like you want to eat. So we're going to talk about a number of those things and what you can do to fix it. So one of the things is mindless eating. Sitting in front of the TV and just eating. So TV, big problem. A lot of people associate watching TV with eating. So you sit down and you start watching for a little bit, and then all of a sudden you're like, what should I eat? And it's not that you're hungry, and it's not that you need anything to eat. It's that you have made it a habit. And so now you associate eating and TV together. So how do we fix that? If you are watching TV and you feel the urge to eat and you're not actually hungry, then pause whatever it is you're watching. Or if you're watching a program that you can't pause, like if you're watching actual live TV, then when the commercial comes, get up and do something. Get up and walk around the house, maybe go to the bathroom and wipe down the counters, or go to the kitchen and put the dishes in the dishwasher away, or the ones that are in the draining tray. Just do something during the commercials, or pause and go do something to take your mind off of it, clear your head, and then go sit down and watch some more of the show. Here's stepping away from it when you get that feeling to eat. That changes the way that your brain thinks. And that's what we want to do. We want to start switching the way our brain thinks. We don't want to keep falling into the same habits that we've always done. It's time to change those habits. Another way is to put everything on a plate and eat it at the table, because mindless eating causes overeating. So if you put it on a plate, now you are very, very aware of how much food is on your plate and how much you're eating. And if you have to sit down at the table and eat it, you're not going to have as much junk food as you would if you just eat it mindlessly, if you just are sitting on the couch watching TV and just eating. So sitting at the table changes everything. If I want to eat some chips, normally I would grab the entire bag of chips, and then I would sit down in front of the TV and I would just eat. And next thing you know, the whole bag would be gone, and I'd be going, I didn't even taste most of this. But if you are wanting chips and nothing else is going to satisfy you, then have them. Take a small amount, look in the bag, see how much a portion is, put it in a bowl, sit down at the table, and then take your time and eat them. Savor every bite and enjoy it all. One portion, that's all you need, just one portion. But sit down at the table and be mindful of eating, and you're going to find that makes such a big difference. Sometimes you want to eat because you're actually thirsty. I have my glass of water here. Having a nice glass is nice for drinking out of. I like my water really cold, or have a really nice water bottle. It's worth investing in a water bottle that you love if it means you're going to drink out of it. When you're dehydrated, your body will actually mimic being hungry. So sometimes when you just feel like eating, go drink down a glass of water and see if that makes a difference. Sometimes we're not getting enough sleep. Now, those of us who are in the menopause age, or those who have young children, sleep is an issue, right? Um, I honestly, I can't help you on that. And I don't mean to be cruel, but I am normally a good sleeper. I fall asleep within 5 minutes and I sleep through to the morning. However, if I've been eating a lot of food, like processed food or refined foods, and not drinking enough water, I've noticed that I will wake up quite a bit during the night. So make sure that you're eating healthy foods and that you're drinking lots of water. Do some relaxation before bed. There's tons of information to look up ideas to help you fall asleep at night. If I've seen people say, oh yeah, but that doesn't work. Okay, but have you actually tried it? So one of the tips is, you start at your toes and you scrunch them and hold them, and then you release, and then you do it with your feet, and then you do it with your calves, and you progress. It's called progressive relaxation. So you tense the muscles and hold them, and then you relax. And you just do that, working all the way up your body, even into your shoulders. You can scrunch up like this and hold it, and then relax your body. You can do it with your eyes, with your mouth, like just tense it and then relax it. This is the technique my dad learned when he was having trouble falling asleep. What it does is, because you're focusing on tensing and relaxing your body, it helps you, number one, recognize areas in your body that are tense, but then it also helps take your mind off of all those racing thoughts. Sometimes when we have tips for relaxing, tips for falling asleep, we really don't want to try those tips. We would rather um, we we would rather stew. We would rather let our mind race. And I've done it. Like I've been laying in bed on the rare occasion, and my mind is racing, and I'm thinking, okay, I should do some relaxation. And I think, I don't feel like it. And so I lay there and lay there and lay there. So these techniques work as long as you put them into action. They're not going to work if you don't put it into action. Hi, Trina. Low fat foods. Low fat foods are a problem. Most of the low fat foods are processed, um, and not only are they low in fat, but they're also low. Oh, hold on, someone's texting me right now. She wants to know if it's Eastern time for this. So I had to tell her it's right now. So that low fat foods are not only low in fat, but they tend to be low in protein. And the healthy fats, and yeah, the Trina says low fat foods are a problem. Hey Sharon, the um, the healthy fats and protein actually make you feel more satisfied longer. And the low fat foods tend to be higher in refined carbs. So we're not talking about healthy carbs, we're talking about the refined carbs. So if you look at a bottle of dressing, you look at the regular dressing and then you look at the fat-free dressing. The fat-free dressing is going to have more chemicals, it's going to have more sugar in it. So when you're switching out to low-fat foods all the time, you're adding more chemicals and process to your body, and you're not going to feel as satisfied. Having a sugary breakfast. So what does a sugary breakfast look like? It can be a bowl of cereal. What else? Even I know some people who have just fruit for breakfast, and there's nothing wrong with having the healthy carbs. There's nothing wrong with having fruit. But if you're only having fruit for breakfast, then that's not going to keep you satisfied long enough. And so after an hour, 2 hours, you're going to be hungry. So oftentimes when you're hungry throughout the day, it's because you didn't eat enough in the morning. So don't have just the fruit, add some protein with it. Debbie says, I never knew that. Yeah, a lot of people don't know that. What's going on here? All right. Oh, I'm missing some of these. Okay. Yeah, the low-fat foods don't fill you. So you don't want that blood sugar roller coaster. We're on the diet, yo-yo diet roller coaster where we lose weight and gain weight and lose weight and gain weight. Well, we're doing the same thing with our blood sugar when we're not eating the proper foods. And so our sugars go like this all day long. And when you have that dip, now in your blood sugar, now your body's going to go, oh my gosh, I need food, I need food, I need food. And so then you're going to naturally gravitate to the unhealthy foods because those are the ones that are going to quickly raise your blood sugar. The problem is when you quickly raise your blood sugar, it's going to quickly drop again. And so you do this all day long. But if you can eat healthy foods throughout the day and make sure that you get enough protein, enough fat, and enough healthy carbs, enough fiber, then your blood sugar levels are just going to be like this. And it's going to be so much easier to ride the wave than it is doing this. And make sure if you guys have questions, please ask, and I'll try and answer whatever I can. Here is another one, and this is one for me. It's nostalgia. Nostalgia can cause us to want to eat. So if your parents, when let's say you had I don't know, something happened to you at school, a bad thing happened, or the kid was picking on you, or something. And then your parents, or let's even say it wasn't a bad thing, let's say it was a good thing, and you got a good report card. So your parents take you out for ice cream. So now you associate those times with ice cream. Gosh, I'm guilty of that. I did that to my kids. There was a time in our life when it was it was a very difficult situation, and my kids were very sad. And so I said, you know what? Let's go for ice cream. Ice cream makes everything better. I know, bad thing, but I wasn't a health coach then. And so they're like, okay, let's go for ice cream, but it's not going to make it better. So we go to Dairy Queen, we have our ice cream, and one of the girls said, you're right, ice cream does make everything better. And to this day, she loves her ice cream. So that wasn't a good thing that I started. I remember as a kid with my family, we would go for a drive, and then we would stop and we would pick up snack food. So we'd have chips, and um, I don't know, we'd get pepperettes, and I can't even think of what else we would get, because the chips and pepperettes, that was it for me. Probably would get some desserts as well. And then we would go sit in a park somewhere, and we'd have a picnic of junk food, or we'd go get KFC and eat at the park. So nostalgia can cause you to eat when you're not actually hungry. Um, and then there's well, food is my only guilty pleasure. And so if I can't have my food, then what do I have left? Why don't you find a new pleasure? Find other things that you like to do, so that you're not turning to food as the fun thing to do. And think about it. Is it the food in the moment might be fun, but then the emotions that come with it afterwards, the spike in the blood sugar, but also the feeling of disappointment in yourself afterwards, that's that's not a good feeling. That's not pleasurable. So try and find some other things that you can do that would bring you pleasure rather than just eating. Think about someone who's already at their goal weight, someone in your life that is at a healthy weight and doesn't eat all the junk food. What does she do or he do for pleasure? So imagine yourself at your goal weight, and yeah, Trina, new pleasures. Imagine yourself at your goal weight and think, what kinds of things will I be doing at my goal weight? Are you going to be standing in the fridge looking for something to eat? Or are you going to be doing other things? So when you can start imagining, what would Fit Kim do, or Fit Trina, or Fit Debbie, what would I do fit? Then start doing that now, as if you're already there. It's not about waiting until I get to my goal weight and then I'll do all these things. Start doing some of those things now, and you're going to feel so much more confident and so much more proud of yourself than giving into those cravings all the time. Oftentimes, we use food as an excuse to relax. So, again, if you've had a really difficult day, then you come home and you reach for the chips, the ice cream, the cake, whatever your guilty pleasure is. So really what your body is saying, I've had a rough day and I need to relax. But we associate relaxing with food. So we eat the food, and what are we doing when we eat the food? We're usually sitting down in front of the TV or sitting in a chair. Um, some of you maybe even in your bed, and you're doing nothing except eating. So maybe your body just really wants to relax, and that's what you need to be doing instead of eating. Which then leads to emotions. Sometimes we eat because we don't want to deal with the emotions that we're having. We can't tolerate them. We want to avoid feeling. But avoiding dealing with the feelings avoiding dealing with those emotions and what's going on, it doesn't make it go away. In fact, oftentimes it can make it worse, because when you keep shoving down those feelings, it's like a pressure cooker, right? Like you keep shoving it down, shoving it down, shoving it down until there's no more, you can't add any more. The pressure builds up, and it's like on the pressure cooker when you let that little button, the red button, go to let the steam out, let the pressure off, and all of a sudden it goes whoosh, and it sprays everywhere. That's what we do. We avoid the feelings, we shove them down, and we shove them down with food. So think of it, imagine yourself, you have feelings that are here and you don't want to deal with them. So you start trying to shove those feelings down with all that food. Eventually, it's not that you're not going to be able to shove it down anymore. Eventually, you're going to explode. And it's probably going to be all over somebody that doesn't deserve it. Eating for comfort, exactly. So, and when you're eating for comfort, it means you're not dealing with the emotions that are actually happening. Instead, I'm going to eat so I don't have to face what's going on. But it doesn't make the emotions go away. It doesn't make the feeling go away. And the food may comfort for the moment, but in the long term, it's not. So I'm going to enjoy this. I say chips because that's my thing. For you, it might be ice cream. I don't know. It might be cake. It might be pastries, whatever it happens to be for you. So I'm going to use the chips as an example. Yeah, food is a temporary fix to bury the emotional pain. Yeah. So um, if I give in and I eat that whole bag of chips, it may comfort me in the moment because I've now sat down and done nothing and relaxed and probably watched a movie or something. My body, that's really what it wanted to do, was to relax, but I ate the food. Now, you might feel better in the moment, but later on, what's going to happen? You're going to feel mad at yourself. You're not going to lose weight, because when you get into the habit of doing this, then you don't lose weight. So you're going to continue to either gain weight or stay where you are, and you're not going to be happy with yourself. So is it really comforting? This is one of the topics that we cover in the group coaching program, Abide, that I do. We cover this more in depth, how comfort food really isn't that comforting. And so what are other things that we can do to provide comfort instead of eating? Trina says chips and dip for me. Yep, that's me too. Years ago, gosh, it's almost 7 years ago now, when I went off on medical leave for stress, I would sit, and I did this probably 3-4 times a week. I would sit with an entire bag of chips and hell of a dip, and I would eat the entire thing. And I knew that my stomach would be upset, and I knew that it would cause my irritable bowel to um, over overreact, and yet I would do it because in the moment I thought it's worth it. But it wasn't, because you know what? I was doing this so much that then I ended up at 330 pounds and then ended up in the hospital. Couldn't move. I was hooked up to machines. I was very, very sick. I was in the ICU for 8 days. So was that really comforting in the moment? But long term, no, it wasn't. That was not comforting. I was at the mercy of the nurses and the doctors to look after me. The nurses, basically. Like, I had no control over my bodily functions, so they were constantly having to come and change the sheets for me. Like, it wasn't good. Potatoes, also like fries. Yeah, it's the carb. When we're feeling, when there's stress, we crave carbs, because carbs, there is a little bit of truth to the fact that they will comfort, because carbs can raise your serotonin levels. And serotonin is the feel-good chemical in your body. But there are other ways to raise your serotonin levels other than food. If I overeat, I feel guilty like a loser. Chocolate is my best friend when I'm sad. But here's the thing. Food is not our friend. Food can't hug us and say, there, everything's going to be okay. That's the reason why we turn to food. Like I've said it too, right? The food is my friend, but it really isn't. It's not going to help us. Now, let's talk about chocolate because dark chocolate is good for you. Dark chocolate. So that would be 70% or higher of cocoa. The higher, the better. It has antioxidants. It has, oh gosh, I can't remember all the words. There are a lot of good things about dark chocolate that help you. They help with your heart health and with your brain health. But it's not eating an entire chocolate bar, it's having 1 ounce of chocolate, which is actually in a big chocolate bar, it can be a couple of squares. So, Trina, you crave chocolate at night. What if you had an ounce of chocolate, dark chocolate, every single night? What if you could have it every single night? When I was doing my health coach training, we did a little bit of training with a heart specialist, cardiologist, and he recommends to his patients to have an ounce of dark chocolate every single day. So if you could have it every single day, how would that make you feel? You're not going to feel deprived because you know that you can have it all the time. But think about, why are you eating the chocolate? Why are you craving it? Is it because you haven't eaten enough food throughout the day? Is it because there's something else going on? Because you're bored, because you're stressed, because there's something emotional going on? Think about the reason why you want the chocolate before you have it. Yeah, so then food is not our best friend. It does not comfort us the way we actually want to be comforted. Sometimes we just want a hug. And I know that there's not always somebody in your life to give you that hug, especially now. Oh gosh, it's so hard right now. Really hard. For those of you who have kids at home or a spouse, give that kid a hug. My kids are older and they hate when I hug them. Thank goodness I have grandkids and they love when I hug them. But if you can't get a hug from somebody, then again, it goes back to finding other things in your life that bring you pleasure and doing those things, whether it's a hobby, a craft, talking to people, helping people, going through the coffee drive-through and buying coffee for the person behind you, doing things to make you smile and to be happy. Um, so I was going to talk about this a little bit farther, but we might as well talk about it right now, and that is being happy. Sometimes when you feel stressed out, when you feel sad, we kind of have a pity party, and I talk about this. There's a song called there's a country song, and it says, I just want to be mad for a while. And so she and her husband had an argument, and he's trying to be all cute the next morning. She's like, don't you dare think that you can just come and be all cute. I just want to be mad for a while, so leave me alone. And that's where we're at. We just want to have that pity party. I was having one of those pity parties one day, and I was having a shower, and I thought, okay, I had just finished teaching about this, about, hold on. I had just finished teaching about this, and I'm in the shower and I'm thinking, okay, you need to follow your own advice. So one of the things to do to relieve stress is to smile and wiggle. Now, Trina says dancing. Absolutely. Or no, sorry, Lynn says dancing. Yeah. And Lynn teaches Zumba, so she knows what she's talking about. But if you can sit up straight, put a smile on your face when you're feeling tight and stressed, and then I just wiggle it all out, and it's so hard to stay mad and stay stressed when you're wiggling. And it looks silly, but it can relieve some of that stress. So don't allow yourself to stay in the pity party, but find other things you can do. Talk some truth to yourself, so that negative talk, we need to switch that to positive talk. I saw on BT in the morning, they suggested hug a tree. Seriously. Well, to each his own, I guess. I'm not hugging a tree, but hey, if you want to. I read that chocolate is a comfort food. So, I mean, it is, because the chocolate actually does raise your serotonin levels. But the problem is when you have the milk chocolate or the semi-sweet chocolate, that chocolate has a lot of sugar in, but there's not a lot of sugar in the dark chocolate. So when you eat the dark chocolate, you're going to get the the good things from the chocolate instead of having all that sugar and all those calories, which then causes the roller coaster. Um, focus on, so the negative talk, yes. Focus on positive things. So when you catch yourself falling into that negative thought pattern, stop yourself and think, okay, here's an acronym, STOP. So step back from the problem so that you can observe it as an outsider, okay? Think about the truth. Or oh shoot, how do I do that? Step back, think about the feelings that you're having. So what's going on in my mind? And then observe the truth about it. So I'm feeling like, oh my gosh, I can't eat anything. Okay, let's step back from that a sec. Let's think. You're so really what it is you're feeling deprived. Because the truth is, it's not that you can't eat anything. There's so many good foods that you can have, but you're allowing yourself that negative thought of, I can't have anything. So then the P of stop is to just pause and give yourself a moment to feel the truth and to think of a new positive thought. So instead of focusing on, I can't have this and I can't have that, instead you go, okay, look at all of the healthy foods that I get to eat. I can have this, and this. Trina says, yeah, feeling deprived. And when we feel deprived, we feel sorry for ourselves. And then we get into that pity party where it's like, oh, poor me, I can't have anything. It's not fair. The skinny girl, she can eat whatever she wants, or my husband can eat whatever he wants, and it's not fair because it's all I have to do is look at it and I gain weight. It amazes me how important we make food in our lives, like how much it controls us. And I'm talking me, this is not judgment. I'm talking me as much as anybody else. We've made food um, an obsession. And I don't want it to be that way. I want you guys to be able to make good choices and not to be obsessing over, should I eat it or shouldn't I eat it? Because that in itself just becomes stressful. So learning how to eat in the proper portions and which foods are good for you and which foods aren't good for you, which again is something that we work on in my group coaching program to help you figure out what foods work for your particular body, because everybody's different. So for me, if I have too much dairy for breakfast, my stomach gets upset. So I have to control the dairy that I have. So like if I have oatmeal, I like to do the overnight oats. So if I do it with yogurt and milk, and then I have coffee with milk, my stomach's going to be upset. So I start recognizing the foods that upset my stomach or make me feel bloated. And so then I try to avoid those foods or eat them in moderation. So everybody's body is different, and that's where we figure out what works best for you. And chances are you already know what foods bother you, and you they're probably foods that you love to eat, and so you go, you know what, it's worth the pain today, but it's not worth the pain. How many years have you been in pain, not just from the way the food makes you feel, but been in pain because of the extra weight? It's not worth the pain. I kept waiting for the right time to diet for 30 years. And over those 30 years, I kept putting on the weight. And I was feeling sorry for myself, saying it's going to be too hard to go without this food to lose all this weight. It's too much weight to lose. And then it was 200 pounds to lose. Like, what was I thinking? I should have been, when it was 20 pounds instead of 200, that's the time that I should have said, it's worth it. I'm worth it to eat that. It's not that you cut it out completely, it's that you eat it in moderation. You eat smaller portions, you measure it out, you put it on a plate or in a bowl, and you sit at the table, and then you take the time to eat the food. Meal prep. When my knees, yes, for every pound that you weigh, it's 4 pounds on your knees or 2 pounds on your hips. So when you put on 10 pounds, that can feel like 40 pounds on your knees. And that can make a big difference even in how much you're able to move. If your knees and your hips are hurting because of the extra weight, then you're not going to be as mobile. Trina says, what if you're not full? So then that's where I would start looking at what kinds of foods are you eating. So make sure that you're getting enough protein, that you are eating healthy carbs, that you're getting lots of fiber, healthy fats. So the way I suggest for my clients to eat is a quarter of your plate is carbs, so whole grains. A quarter of your plate is protein, and then half of your plate is vegetables, or depending on the time of day, you may want to do fruit, or you may want to do a combination of fruit and vegetables. But if you eat that way and eat off of a smaller plate, so more of a luncheon plate instead of the dinner plate, because the luncheon plates tend to be smaller. So when you start eating that way for every single meal, make sure that you have a carb and a protein and your fruit and or vegetables. Every single meal, you're going to start feeling more satisfied. If it's a diet that's high in processed foods, refined flour, so high in the breads, then you're going to find that you're not satisfied as long. The bread gives you that quick high, but then you're going to drop. So when you mix the fiber and the fat and the protein, it keeps you more level, so that you're not going to be on that sugar roller coaster. And honestly, I think if you start eating more regularly and eating the proper portions and eating all the food groups at every meal, you're going to start feeling more satisfied. Now, there are some people who are not eating enough calories. You can go online and just search, how many calories should I have? And there's a lot of calculators. Um, Typically, I know people who do 1,200 calories or less, and that's not healthy. Unless you're very tiny, then that's different. But for those of us who are overweight, 1,200 calories is not enough. So for me, I should be having between 1,500 and 1,800 calories a day. So if you're not eating enough food, you're going to feel hungry. Now let's talk a little bit about the fullness. We've learned over the years that we need to feel full, like we need to feel stuffed. And we think that unless we feel stuffed, then we're not satisfied. And I have a couple of clients who have recently realized that they had a fear of being hungry. So they never wanted to go hungry. They wanted to be full all the time. And that can come from a number of different things. So because of their fear of being hungry, they were eating even when they weren't hungry, and they were eating to the point of being full. Well, when you eat to that point, it's difficult for your body to digest all the food properly. So what's going to happen is that food's going to go into fat stores because it can't digest all of it. So another way, intuitive eating, yes. Another way to feel satisfied when you're eating is to take longer to eat. So take smaller bites. I like to use a small fork or a small spoon instead of the regular, like I like to use the salad fork or the dessert spoon instead of the bigger ones. So when you take smaller bites, chew your food longer than you normally would. The average person only chews their bite of food 3 or 4 chews and then they swallow it. So it's harder for your body to digest. And again, it's too much food, your body can't digest properly. So think about a blender when you're trying to blend up fruit and you put this, see, I knew it, Trina. She says, oh my gosh, I eat fast. Yes, that's why you're not feeling full or feeling satisfied. So think of a blender and you're going to make a smoothie and you put these great big pieces of fruit in and then you turn the blender on and it goes and then it blends the stuff at the bottom and it won't break down the other pieces because they're too big. But if you break it down into smaller pieces and put it in the blender, then it blends it up. Same thing with your stomach. You're putting great big chunks of food because you're not chewing it enough. You're eating very fast. You're taking large bites. Now you have these big chunks of food in your stomach. Now your body has to work at digesting that food that's in your stomach instead of taking the nutrients. And after a while, your body's like, okay, I've had enough. And it just puts it over in fat stores. So think of the toughest steak you've ever had. And you know how you take a big bite and you're chewing and you're chewing and chewing and chewing and chewing and your jaw is sore and it's still not breaking down? That's what your body feels like when you put those big bites of food in your stomach. So chew more so that your mouth can do the digesting, the breaking it down. Your saliva has digestive enzymes. That's what it's meant, is to help break down your food. Then when your food goes into your stomach and it's in nice tiny little pieces, now your body can absorb the nutrients properly and move the food to where it needs to go to. You should be taking at least 15 minutes, preferably 20 minutes to eat a meal. I was going to say something. It was about the digesting, but now I forget it. It might come. So make sure that you're chewing it enough so that it breaks down properly in your stomach and gets to go where it needs to go to. Meal prep, when you know what you're going to eat, then you're less likely to eat the junk food. So if you've got it all prepared, and especially snacks, when you buy your groceries and you bring the groceries home, and if you're like me and you don't like grocery shopping and you don't have groceries in the house, that's a problem. And that can cause to overeating because you don't have anything to eat. So make it a habit to buy groceries every week or every other week. And then when you bring your groceries home, cut up the fruit and veggies that need to be cut up. Portion them out into single serving portion sizes, whether that's in containers or baggies, because that takes the thinking out of the snacks. So when it's in between a meal and you're like, okay, you know what, I am hungry. It's not emotional hunger, it's stomach hunger. I'm actually hungry. You don't have to think about what you're going to eat. You already know because you've planned the snacks ahead of time. And then plan your meals. So you don't have to plan a week ahead. You can plan just for the next day. So tonight before you go to bed, take a look in your fridge and your freezer and say, okay, for breakfast I'm going to have this, for lunch I'll have this, for dinner I'll have this, and snacks, yeah, this and this. Okay? You don't have to eat all of it, but you have it planned out. You know what you're going to eat so that when that that emotional or stressful time comes, you don't have to think about it. A lot of people do really well planning through the week, and then they don't plan for the weekend, and so all weekend long they're just eating helter-skelter all over the place, and that contributes to weight gain. You do really well all week long, and then you're like this all weekend, and you're not paying attention to how much you're eating. You're just eating, and you're eating processed food and refined foods and junk food, and I will talk to people and they say, oh, but I eat really healthy. But then when we get talking, yeah, they eat healthy Monday to Friday, but then on the weekends they're all over the place, or on a stressful day they come home and they binge. So those moments can take away from all the good things you're doing, and it confuses your body, it confuses your mind. If you can be consistent, it's that, again, it's that being the steady Eddie, being balanced. Think balance. It's not eat really healthy and then have a cheat day and eat an entire cake. No, we don't want to do that. If you are going to a birthday party, that doesn't have to be your cheat day. Have a little bit of everything. Christmas, have a little bit of everything. But if there's a lot of food, like a lot of choices, just pick the foods that are 9 or 10 out of 10 in flavor for you. We can, yeah, we can binge food and wine. Yep, a lot of people do that, and that makes it difficult. Fasting. Okay, I am not a fan of 16-hour fasting. I don't think it's healthy, and I think, and some people even go longer than that, to try and get all of the food, all of the calories you need in order for your body to operate at its best cellular level. In order to eat the proper number of calories and for your body to be able to digest the food properly and have the amount of time to digest it, I think it's difficult to do that in 8 hours, because typically we should be eating every 4 to 5 hours throughout the day. Okay, so breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Well, it's difficult to do that in 8 hours. Now, that's not to say that fasting is bad, because there is the science behind the fasting that if you can go a long period of time, then it helps increase your metabolism. So this is the best way to do it. You have dinner. Let's say you have dinner, even if you have dinner at 6 o'clock. Once dinner's done, don't eat again until the next day, until the next morning when you have breakfast. When we were younger, or when our parents were younger, we didn't snack after dinner. At least our family didn't. And so you just did an unintentional fast. You had dinner and you didn't eat again until breakfast. So if you eat dinner at 6 and then you eat breakfast at 7 or 8 o'clock, you've gone 13, 14 hours and it hasn't been painful. So try and do it that way. But and I'm saying this from experience. I have tried the long fasting, and I've tried to go till 12, 1, 2 o'clock. I was not a nice person. My body needs, my hormones were going out of control. My sugar was going out of control because I was starving myself and trying to get to that 2 o'clock in the afternoon or 12 o'clock in the afternoon time. And so I was hungry all morning long. And then what happens is your body is like, okay, I don't know what you're doing. You're starving me and you're not eating. So now when you eat, your body's going to go, okay, you're going to keep starving me. Let's take this food and put it into fat stores for the next time that you starve me. So the idea for fasting is to increase your metabolism so that your body starts to use the fat stores. Unfortunately, when you go to the extreme, now your body is putting your food into fat stores, so that the fasting isn't working because more food is going into fat stores. So I hope that's making sense. So just do the nighttime fasting if if you're able to. Like I'm able to do that now. In the beginning, I couldn't. I still had to have a snack around 8 o'clock. Yeah, you overeat after that for sure because now you're starving and all your body can think about is food, 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 food. And your body's going to do anything to get you to eat food. So I don't know. Fasting is a pet peeve for me. So is keto. Um, I understand the low carb, and I've done that, but the low carb meaning cutting out the refined flours, the like white breads, those kinds of things, or limiting them. Low carb. It doesn't mean cut it out altogether. And don't fruits are good for you. Fruits have a lot of vitamins and nutrients and fiber, so the fruits are good for you. You should not be cutting out an entire food group. My opinion, but it's also backed up by dietitians and nutritionists, backed up by the government with their food guide. So I think I'm in good company there. And being someone who is diabetic, I know that the fasting wasn't helping. It was making my sugars go crazy. So that's my little pet peeve there. Hope that's been helpful. Um, oh, good. Yeah. Terry says keto is her pet peeve as well. Here's something you may not know. The keto diet was actually created for people who suffer from seizures. And oh gosh, last year interviewed somebody. It's probably the interview's probably still in the group. Her name is Danielle Englot, and she lost weight. She had a brain tumor, and they told her, and she was overweight, and they told her you're never going to be able to lose the weight because of the brain tumor, and it was causing seizures and everything, and she was just having a lot of problems. And it was that somebody saying you're never going to be able to lose the weight that caused her to say, watch me. So she does keto because keto was created for people who have seizures. So as long as she stays keto in ketosis, then she doesn't have seizures. But it wasn't created for everybody. It's not healthy. And here's my other pet peeve with keto. The idea is to get your body into ketosis, and it takes 3 days. So you do really well for 3 days, and your body just gets into ketosis where it can start, metabolizing food better and everything else, and you're going to start, everything is going to be working the way it should be working. But then you have a cheat meal or a cheat day, and then your body goes out of ketosis again. So then you go back on plan, and it takes another 3 days. Well, by the time that 3 days is done, you're like, oh, I need a treat. So the idea of keto is all you're doing is cutting out an entire food group, and you're not getting the benefit of the ketosis. So yeah, that's my thought. And when Danielle had done the research, that's why she follows it. But she's also a health coach and a personal trainer, and she tells her clients not to do keto. Yes, it's true, Terry. So another thing, and I'm going to wrap this up soon because I know it's a lot of information, and I love that you guys have been here the whole time. Stop being perfect. This on again, off again, on again, off again. It's not good. And we beat ourselves up because I didn't do it perfectly. And so now I'm a loser, I'm a failure, I didn't do it right, I can't do anything right. And you start that pity party, that negative self-talk, because we are expecting perfection from ourselves. But let me ask you this. Would you expect that perfection from me? Would you expect that from your sister, your mother, your daughter, your niece? Why do we put that on ourselves to do it perfectly, but we have grace for everybody else? So we have this, I'm either on a diet or I'm off a diet. we have the good food, the bad food. We have really, really healthy days, and then we have binge days or cheat weekends. And so it's constantly this back and forth, back and forth. But what if instead of having to be, like unbalanced, what if your life could be balanced and you could have a little bit of everything and still lose weight? What if you could get control over all of that and work on the mindset of, why do I eat the foods I eat? Why do I turn to food when I'm feeling emotional? How do I deal with that? How do I cope with the stress? What techniques can I do to deal with stress? I just spent an entire week with my clients working on stress, just stress. They get a 5-minute teaching video every single day, and then journal prompts to go along with the video. And we've just spent an entire week just talking about stress. And actually the week before we talked on it a bit too. So 2 weeks talking about stress, how to get rid of self-sabotage, and how to add nourishment into your life other than food, other ways to bring happiness and pleasure into your life. So what if you could feel good all the time and not have to be on a diet, off the diet, on the wagon, off the wagon? It doesn't have to be one or the other. And one of the reasons why diets don't work is because at the end of the diet, so you get to that goal, then you go, oh, good. I reached my goal, and I did this. I reached my goal just before I had my first child, just before I got pregnant with him. And then I got pregnant, and I was like, oh, good. I can eat whatever I want. I gained 60 pounds in that pregnancy, and I didn't lose any of it after I had him, because that was 60 pounds that I deserved to gain because of the way I was eating. I pigged out because I thought, I'm not on a diet anymore. I'm pregnant. I can eat whatever I want. But we do that. So it's not about being on a diet. And this is not I don't tell my clients to diet. It's a lifestyle change. It's learning how to be able to have everything you want without feeling deprived, and to still be able to lose weight, to learn how to navigate with the stress and the emotions and all of that that goes with it. So a few quick more things, things to do instead of eating. Have a cup of tea, a nice herbal tea, flavored tea. Go for a walk, have a bath, listen to some music, have some quiet time, some relaxation time, some time to pray. Do some stretches. There's lots of stretches that you can do. Some self-massage techniques that you can do. Wiggling, doing things to have fun. Having fun takes that stress away. Doing some deep breathing. Sitting up straight. So slouching down and slouching over like this contributes to that feeling of, I don't feel good. I feel sorry for myself. I feel depressed. But if you can sit up straight and put your shoulders back and straighten your spine and put a smile on your face, that's going to make you feel better. Do some gardening. Work if you can't garden because there's snow, have some plants in the house and do stuff with your plants. Switch to decaf. My husband and I have done that, and we have found that some of that jitteriness goes away. So the odd time we'll have caffeine, but for the most part we have switched to decaf, and it does make a difference in our hunger levels. Count backwards from 100 if you're feeling stressed out. And fight. So fight those feelings of putting yourself down. Fight those feelings of self-pity and depression. Fight through those feelings. Think about if you have a job and Or there's even if you don't have a job, there are certain things in your life that you do every single day, whether you feel like it or not. But when it comes to our self-care, if we don't feel like it, we don't do it. So push through that and recognize when you're doing that. Recognize when you're essentially saying to yourself, I'm not important enough to make myself a priority. Recognize when you're doing that and push to make yourself a priority. No self-pity. And when you're feeling upset about something, think of it on a scale of 1 to 10, with 10 being disaster and 1 being it's not a problem at all. So on a scale of 1 to 10, how bad is that situation? Sometimes it's really not as bad as what we think it is. Thanks for the great chat. Really enjoyed it. I've got to go. Yes, and I will say hi to Doug. So smile, do a massage for yourself, and then how bad is it really? So that's, unless you guys have any other questions, that's all I've got for you tonight. I do want to let you know of a couple of things that I have available if you guys are wanting some extra accountability, some support. If you're interested in working with me further, I have a couple of options for you right now. Right now is my Christmas bundle that I'm so excited for. It's $99, and I have made a bundle of 25 of the best master classes that I've done throughout the year, as well as access to my 3-day workshop. You're very welcome, Terry. My 3-day workshop, Eat Your Way Through the Holidays. So that entire bundle is $99, yours to keep forever. The other option is my 90-day course. It's a self-guided course with daily videos and journal prompts and affirmations and motivations and check-ins and setting priorities and goals for the day. So I have that as well. And that's a self-guided course. Then I also have that course as well as adding some group coaching to it. The girls, right now I have 6 girls in the group coaching program, and I love our Saturday morning meetings. I love when we all get together on a call and we coach each other and encourage each other and build each other up, and it's so much fun. And the they're two of them actually this week have said to me, Kim, you have changed my life. And that makes me so happy. These girls have struggled with weight, one of them since she was 9 years old, and she said to me that I have changed her life. I've changed the way that she looks at herself and at food. And that's what I want for you guys. It just gives me so much pleasure and passion to be able to help you guys, to be able to see the changes in you, to see lives changed. That's what brings me joy. So if any of those programs interest you, let me know. I can send you a link to give you more information and give you the details for the prices. And if those don't work for you, let me know. I have every pricing option. So there's something for every price point that I can help you with. Obviously, the cheaper ones are going to be more self-guided. I have a $10 journal. I have a $25 course that you can work through on your own. There's and then it works out. So there's so many price options. There's no reason for you to have to do this by yourself and to struggle, okay? So my heart is for everybody to be able to reach their goal and to get pushed past that feeling that I'm never going to get there, because you will get there. We all have in us what it takes to get there. Sometimes we just need somebody who's there to encourage us and to let us know that you can get there, and to give us maybe the tips and the little tweaks here and there, and maybe the little kick in the butt to say, no, you can do this. So like I said, if you're interested, reach out to me. I'm going to be doing these master classes more consistently. I took some time off and I'm back in again. So I'm going to be doing these at least once a month. maybe twice a month if something comes up for me, but I'm going to be more available in the group. And if you guys have any questions at all, please type #question in the group and ask your question, and I will answer them whenever I can. Either I'll answer your post or I'll answer it in a weekly Q&A session. So anyway, thank you so much for being here. I love you guys. I appreciate you so, so much. Have a good night.